Dear students, the last class we were discussing the chapter acids, bases, and salts. And the last concept that we had discussed was it is about chemical properties of acids only, right? Just once we shall recall all the concepts that we discussed in this chapter so far. Briefly, very first one, which of these three will produce hydroxide ion on dissolving in water? Base. HCl, whether it is an acid or base, it is an acid. NaOH is a base. Then which chemical substance sour in taste? Acid. Which produces hydroxide ion? Hydrogen ion? Acid. Which among these three will conduct electricity? Acids and bases. Both will conduct electricity.
Sir, unmute your audio. Sir, unmute your audio. Sir, unmute your audio.
Okay. As they produce the ions which are responsible for conducting the electricity. Hence, you can say that acids and bases both are electrolytes. Under what condition the salts will produce the ions? Yeah, in their aqueous form only. That is, when you go for taking a salt called sodium chloride, by adding this into the water, it becomes a salt solution. On dissolving in water, it gets dissociated into the respective ions. What are those ions? Cations and anions.
Cations and anions.
The ions produced are sodium ion and chloride ion. If it is copper sulfate, name the ions that are produced. Copper ion and sulfate ion. Cu2 plus and sulfate ion SO4.
SO4 minus.
Similarly, if it is sodium aluminate or else, okay, let me give you another. Aluminum sulfate. Name the, when this aluminum sulfate is dissolved in water, it gets dissociated into its respective ions. They are, one is aluminum ion, second one is sulfate ion.
Sulfate ion.
Tell that aluminum ion.
Al3 plus.
Al3 plus.
Al3 plus. And
SO4
sulfate
2
ion.
minus.
SO4 2 minus.
2 minus. Similarly, if it is potassium iodide, the ions that are
Potassium ion.
potassium ion and iodide ion. Tell them potassium ion. K plus iodide ion. I1 minus or just
I1.
one more. Lead nitrate. Let us take the salt lead nitrate. When it is dissolved in water, it produces ion. They are, one is lead and second one is nitrate.
Nitrate.
Lead is Pb
2 plus.
2 plus. Nitrate ion
1 minus.
1 minus.
1. Just do remember this. Name the chemical substances which are used for testing the given compound is acid or base. They are indicator.
Indicators.
What do you call the indicators which are synthesized in the laboratory?
Synthetic indicator.
Phenolphthalein, whether it is synthetic indicator, natural indicator.
Synthetic indicator.
What do you call the indicator which changes its odor when it is used in acid or base?
Olfactory
indicators.
Olfactory indicators. You may take the examples for olfactory indicators as
onion, vanilla
oil,
Vanilla extract.
vanilla.
Oil.
If when this olfactory indicator is used in the compounds like acids and bases, how do you come to know it is only acid? The given compound is acid. We know that if the smell is detected, it is an acid. If the smell
If the
is
smell
not
is not
detected,
detected, it
then
is a
it is
base.
Is base.
Base.
Then we have four important properties of acids that we discussed in yesterday's class only. What are those?
Reaction
First
with
one is
Reaction with metals, reaction with
reaction
metal.
with metal
Metals
carbonate,
with
reaction with
reaction
base,
with metal
reaction
oxide,
with
reaction with
Reaction
metal
with base.
bicarbonate.
All of you are correct. What happens when acids or when an acid reacts with the metal?
Salt and hydrogen gas is
Salt and hydrogen gas is obtained.
Produces
Hydrogen gas is
salt with the
liberated.
liberation of
hydrogen gas.
hydrogen gas. Could you name one of the acid which does not react with the metal, as it is very weak? It is
Tartaric acid.
very good. H2CO, carbonic acid. This is one of the weakest acid which does not react with metal. But other acids will react with the metal to produce salt with the liberation of hydrogen gas. And the second property was reaction of acid with
Metal carbonate.
Metal carbonate or metal bicarbonate.
bicarbonate. Which way? Name the products that are formed when an acid reacts with a metal carbonate. Yes, salt, then water,
Water and hydrogen.
Carbon dioxide.
Carbon
Carbon
dioxide.
dioxide.
When acid reacts with metal carbonate, it produces salt and water with the liberation of carbon dioxide gas. When an acid reacts with base, name the products that are formed.
Acid, base, water and salt.
Salt and
Salt and water.
Salt and water.
Salt and water.
now let me give you one of the metallic oxide like MgO, whether it is acidic in nature or basic in nature.
Basic in nature.
Basic in nature.
Basic in nature. What happens when an acid reacts with metal oxide?
salt and
Salt
water
and
will be
water.
formed.
And water. And water.
Salt and water are formed. Then could you tell how do you test the presence of hydrogen gas?
We should pass it in a
By
base.
the
When a
By soap
acid
solution.
is near the gas bubble,
near the
they burst with
bubbles.
Yes, you are right. When the whatever the gas is released, when it is passed into the soap solution, the bubbles are produced. When we bring a lighted matchstick or a lighted candle near these bubbles, the bubbles will burst with pop sound, which indicates the gas liberated is hydrogen, right? This is. Then similarly, how do you test the presence of carbon dioxide?
By passing it
It
through
will
light.
turn to
Passing it
milky,
the-
sir. Milky color it will turn.
Correct. When the liberated gas is passed into the calcium hydroxide solution, nothing but
White.
like water. If it turns milky, then we can say that the liberated gas is carbon dioxide. Could you tell the reaction, chemical equation when carbon dioxide is passed into the calcium hydroxide? Carbon dioxide is passed into the lime water, that is calcium hydroxide solution.
Calcium carbonate plus water.
It turns calcium hydroxide to white color. It is due to the formation of the precipitate.
calcium carbonate.
Calcium carbonate, CaCO3
Plus water.
plus
That's water.
water. And we also know that calcium carbonate is a precipitate. What is its color?
White.
White.
Why this precipitate is formed? Because
Gas is passed into an aqueous.
we know that the general condition, when gas is passed into the aqueous solution, precipitate is formed. When two aqueous solutions react with each other, under that condition also, precipitate is formed. Then what happens when excess amount of carbon dioxide is passed into the calcium hydroxide?
Calcium
Calcium
bicarbonate.
Calcium
bicarbonate
bicarbonate.
is formed, which is dissolved in water, so that it produces, it gives the clear solution. Followed. Very clear. CaCO3 plus S2O plus CO2 gives rise to
CaHCO3.
CO3 taken twice plus H2.
Okay. Plus water. Illandre aqueous anta badru. This reaction can also be written like this. Carbon dioxide, here I'll write. Excess amount of carbon dioxide is passed into the calcium hydroxide solution. Then it produces calcium bicarbonate solution, which is clear. Got it? Yes. This much was discussed in the last class. Wait, one last point. That is, we all know that metallic oxides are acidic in nature, right? No. Basic in nature. Metallic oxides are basic in nature. One example is magnesium oxide. How do you come to know that it is basic in nature? How would you
By indicators.
identify the
The
nature of
oxides are all basic, sir.
magnesium oxide? What is the chemical nature of magnesium oxide? It is basic in nature. How? Very simple. When it is dissolved in water, we get a solution. When this solution is tested with the litmus paper, when we use the red litmus paper, it turns blue. That's all. That from that we can come to know that the solution formed is basic in nature, and that solution is magnesium hydroxide, in this case MgOH twice. Very simple question. It is, what is the chemical nature of magnesium oxide? What do you write? Basic in nature. How it is? Explain. Very simple. When magnesium oxide is dissolved in water, it produces a solution. When it is tested with a red litmus paper, it turns blue. Hence, we can say that it is basic in nature. Then, what is the name of that solution? The solution is magnesium hydroxide. What is its chemical formula? MgOH twice. There are, in the same way, even if I take calcium oxide, when it is dissolved in water, which compound is produced?
Calcium hydroxide.
Calcium hydroxide.
Calcium
hydroxide.
KOH twice. It is also basic in nature because it turns red to blue. When red litmus paper is dipped into calcium hydroxide solution, you can come to know that it changes to blue. Followed? This much was discussed in the last class. Now we are moving to the next part of this chapter. In this part, we will focus on the chemical properties of bases. Then under what factors? Like in acids only, we'll check the reaction of base with metals, base with base with non-metallic oxide, and base with acid. These are the three important chemical properties. Let's come to know one by one. Right. Side heading: chemical properties of bases. Chemical properties of bases. Right.
Everyone, please keep turn on your video till 7:30. This is the last call to everyone. Please keep turn on your video till 7:30. If I am going to remove, it is your responsibility. Thank you.
Enough. Here, first, we'll move on to know about the reaction of base with metal. Reaction with metal. Now let's come to know what happens when base react with metal or under any condition, whether the base reacts with the metal, we'll come to know that. Just observe it. Here, let me take a test tube. In that, I'll take some pieces of metal. Let us take zinc. Zinc cathode. Then it is to be fitted to iron stack. Then we will go for adding any one base. Now that was base add body right, which is most familiar to us. NaOH. Do you observe any change taking place in the test tube? No. When base is added to the metal, the immediate reaction cannot be seen. Like in case of acids. Acids are also immediate react. But here it is not. Then if you want to
It
make
heats
a base to react with a metal, it should be heated.
Heated.
Right? It needs excess amount of energy for reaction. So that energy will be in the form of heat. Heat quota matra, base will react with the metal. Then you can notice that the reaction will be taking place. And at the same time, you can also notice that the liberation of the gas. Here also, to test the gas, we will go for passing that into the soap solution. So here, when the gas is being released, immediately we close the mouth of the test tube with a single hold rubber cork. Then we take a delivery tube and one end of it is inserted into the cork and other end is to be taken into the glass beaker or a tumbler containing the soap solution. Then the bubbles will come out which are filled with a gas. Here, when we bring a lighted matchstick nearby, these bubbles which are filled with the gas, they burst with pop. They also pop on this earth, which means that
Hydrogen gas is
Hydrogen gas.
one thing we have come to know that base will react with metal only on heating. And second thing, on the reaction, it releases the hydrogen gas. When the hydrogen gas is released completely, at last we get a residue in the test tube. Do you know what is that? It will be a salt.
Sodium zincate.
Correct. In this case, when the base reacts with the metal, that is, when the base sodium hydroxide reacts with a metal called zinc, it produces a salt called sodium zincate. Sodium zincate na produce maadu. Artha aita? So in
These
general,
all
we can
metals
also
bring
say that
ups and
when the base reacts with metal, produces salt
Salt and hydrogen.
with the liberation of
hydrogen gas.
hydrogen gas. Here I'll write the chemical reaction. It is NaOH plus Zn gives rise to Na2 Zn what? It is sodium zincate. Know this. Do remember this chemical formula. Plus hydrogen H2. Similarly, I take sodium hydroxide plus Al. Sodium
Na3.
hydroxide reacts with aluminium on heating to produce the salt called
Sodium aluminate.
Sodium aluminate.
Aluminate.
Sodium aluminate. Chemical formula. Na.
3.
Na3.
Na3.
Al. O2 plus hydrogen gases liberate. Understood? Very simple. Base reacts with the metal on heating to produce salt with the liberation of hydrogen gas. In case of acids, say it was same product only. Salt and hydrogen. Illi kuda base kuda salt and hydrogen. But in case of base, the reaction condition is to be mentioned. What is that? Heat.
Delta.
Heat quota matra adu react agutade. So now please go for right. Draw the figure with me quick as possible. First, draw a test tube. Right. Draw a test tube.
Harshita IB, you are disturbing lot. Harshita IB.
Then show the zinc granules. Then here draw iron stack. Then fix test tube to the iron stack. Don't be lagging. Please go on drawing with me. Test tube is fitted to iron stack. Here, this is an experiment table. On this we have placed iron stack. Next, just below the test tube, you draw a Bunsen bar. Don't heat it suddenly. Then assume that we have added sodium hydroxide solution. Then close the mouth of the test tube with a single fold rubber cap. This is rubber cap. Next, take a delivery tube and insert one of its ends into the rubber cap. Let us pass the other end into the beaker containing soap solution. Here, I am showing that. Here I will draw either beaker or you may take tumbler. Here we have taken soap solution. Next, provide heat to the test tube containing the contents zinc and sodium hydroxide. Immediately we notice that a gas will be liberated. Let us show the liberation of the gas. Then this gas will pass into the soap solution through the delivery. Then gas bubbles are formed. Let us bring a lighted matchstick. Then these gas bubbles burst with the pop sound. Hope that you are completed. Now, Let us go for leveling this. Well, first one. What is this? It
Iron
is
sand.
iron sand. Write with me. Next. Second one. Could you tell what it is? It is delivery tube.
Delivery
Delivery tube.
Next. Name this.
Rubber cock.
It is
Rubber cock.
rubber cork. Next. Could you tell what it is? Gas.
Test tube.
Gas.
Let us write hydrogen gas. Hydrogen gas. Here only I write sodium hydroxide, NaOH, and these are zinc granules. And this is Bunsen burner. And this is beaker or tumbler. Glass beaker. And in that, we have taken soap solution. Soap solution. And these are gas filled bubbles. Gas filled bubbles. Now let me write the chemical reaction. It is this. We have taken the base called sodium hydroxide, that is NaOH. It reacts with the metal called zinc or heating. So I'm showing the delta symbol, which represents the contents are heated. Then we'll get a salt called sodium zincate, Na2, and then O2. Plus hydrogen gas is liberated. H2. Now let me write the general chemical equation. General chemical equation. Right. Hey, reacts with metal on heating to produce salt with the liberation of hydrogen gas. Highlight that with the box. Then let me write some examples. It is sodium hydroxide reacts with aluminium on heating to produce sodium aluminate. Sodium aluminate formula NaAlO2. Now we'll go on to the second one. Prashant sir. Sir.
Sir?
Just unwanted sound was coming through the record.
Yes, I have been.
Now we'll move on to second one. It is reaction of base with acids. Very simple one, which we have already discussed. Right.
Raju sir. Raju sir.
Yes, sir.
Chaya M and Spurti, they wanted to ask something. Please ask them, sir.
Yes. Unmute them, sir. Yes, Chaya Yam. Yes, do you have any doubt? And Spurti. Spurti,
No, sir.
no. Answer. Reaction of base with acid is nothing but reaction of acid with base also. What happens when acid reacts with the base?
Salt and water is formed.
Salt and
Sir,
water
the
will
salt
get
and
formed.
water. And we call that reaction as neutralization reaction.
Reaction. Reaction.
Even it was explained in yesterday's class only. But as it comes under the chemical properties of bases, just I go for writing the general chemical equation direct. Right? General chemical equation. General chemical equation. Reaction of base, base when it reacts with acid produces salt
Salt plus water.
and water. Highlight the box. Let me give few examples. Examples are, yeah, first base is NaOH and acid is HCl, 2 Name the salt that are produced. So that is produced. It is
HCl plus water.
plus water is produced. Next, one more example. BaOH twice. It is barium hydroxide. When it reacts with the sulfuric acid, H2FO4. Could you name the
Barium
salt?
sulfate plus water. BaSO4 plus water.
Sulfate and water. Barium sulfate, BaSO4 or SO4 twice. Only SO4. Because it will be Ba2 plus SO4, 2 minus. Both get cancelled. We'll get BaSO4 plus S2. Name one of the base containing the metal called lead.
Lead hydroxide.
PbOH twice.
PbOH
OH twice.
What happens when it reacts with the acid called nitric acid? HNO3.
Lead nitrate is formed with
Lead
formation of
nitrate
water.
will
Nitrate plus water.
Nitrate and water.
And water.
PbNO3 twice.
PbNO3 twice.
NO3 twice plus
Plus H2.
water. Please stop. I'll rub this part. Shall I repeat?
Yes, sir.
Raju sir.
Yes, sir.
Raju sir.
Yes, sir.
Sir, still some students are not ready to turn on their video. Shall I remove them, sir?
Yes, sir. Give them 2 more minutes. In spite of that, if they
Once
do
you
not
announce,
turn on, you can remove them.
once you announce, sir.
It is a sincere requisition for the students who have not turned on the video. Please do turn on the video within 2 minutes, or else sir is going to remove you from the class. Observe it. Let me go for taking one of the non-metal, which is yellow in color. Could you name that? It is sulfur. Whether it is available in crystalline form or amorphous form. Powder form. Oh, very good. Powder form ಅಂದ್ರೆ amorphous only. Okay. Sulfur powder. Just observe it. What do you call this chemical operators, which is used for heating by taking the given compound.
Spatula, sir.
Spatula girala, it will be like a spoon, one side depression and another side, it is flat. Angirutte. But this is not like that. Anybody, it is called deflagrating spoon. Deflagrating spoon. And in this, you'll go for taking the yellow color non-metal called sulfur. What happens when it is heated? Gas is released. Can it be seen? Can we see the gas?
No, sir.
Yes. That gas must have the color. Yellow color is yellow color.
White, sir.
White. Yeah. Certainly, the white fumes will be coming down. Then what is the reason for the releasing of the gas?
Sulfur oxide is
Very good, very good. As on heating, sulfur reacts with oxygen and produces a compound called sulfur dioxide. This gas is sulfur dioxide. What is the color of sulfur dioxide gas? It
White.
is white.
White.
White color.
Gas release it is a colorless gas. But here it is white color so that it can be seen. Sulfur dioxide gas is released. Now, let me go for taking another chemical operator. Having the lid. A glass cylinder, it will be like a container, but lid will also be there, which is used for collecting the gas. What it is called? Good. Gas jar. Of course, it is made of glass, and this jar is used for collecting the glass. Hence, it is also called gas jar. And assume that we have collected a very good amount of white fumes of sulfur dioxide in this gas jar. Then you go for adding water, distilled water into it. Then shake it well to mix the gas, that is sulfur dioxide gas, in the water. What happens when sulfur dioxide gas is dissolved in water? You know that.
Sulfur hydroxide is formed.
Huh?
Sulfur hydroxide.
Sulfur hydroxide is formed.
sulfurous acid is formed.
Very good. Compound. You'll get a compound. You just go for testing that compound with the litmus paper. Suppose you go for using red litmus paper. What will be your observation?
Color will not change.
Whether it changes the color? No, color
It
is
is
not
fixed.
changed. The color will remain as it is. Then go for using the blue litmus.
It turns into red.
Turns into red.
Right. Which means that what is the chemical nature of the
Acid.
compound
Acid.
produced?
Acidic.
Acid.
Acidic.
Then what is that
Acidic.
acid? Containing the
Sulfuric.
sulfur.
Sulfuric.
Sulfuric acid anta ಹೇಳ್ತೀವಿ. Right? But here sulfurous acid is formed. H2
SO3.
H2SO3. Sulfurous acid is formed. Look here. Whether sulfur is a metal or non-metal?
Non-metal.
Non-metal. So then here O is oxygen. Then this sulfur dioxide is, whether it is metallic oxide
Non-metallic
or metallic oxide.
Non-metallic oxide.
Non-metallic oxide.
Non-metallic oxide. Whether non-metallic oxide is acidic in nature or basic in nature?
Acidic.
Acidic.
Acidic in nature.
Now let us come to know what will be the reaction of base with non-metallic oxide. Nothing but
Base. Acid.
acid. Reaction of base with acid. Because non-metallic oxides are acidic in nature. Got it? Artha aita? Right. Reaction with non-metallic oxide. Reaction with non-metallic oxide. Directly I'll go for writing the general chemical equation. You can also write with me. I'll take the base. It reacts with non-metallic oxide. Non-metallic oxide, which means that it is reacting with acid. What happens when base reacts with acid?
Salt and water is formed.
Salt and water.
Salt and water.
Salt and water.
Salt and water. So let me take few examples. So that you just highlight this with the box. Examples. Let me take the base called NaOH. When it reacts with the non-metallic oxide, it is sulfur dioxide. Name the salt that is produced.
Sodium sulfate.
Sodium sulfide.
Sodium sulfide.
NaS2.
Na2, yes.
Na2SO3.
Na, sodium sulfide plus S2, salt and water. NaOH plus CO2. Carbon dioxide, it is a non-metallic oxide. When it reacts with a base called sodium hydroxide, produces a
Sodium
compound.
carbide.
Sodium carbon.
Sodium carbonate. Chemical formula
Na2CO3 and water.
Na2CO and water.
Plus H2O.
S2. Let me take another base called KOH, potassium hydroxide. It reacts with carbon dioxide.
Potassium carbonate plus water.
Carbonate plus
It is
K2CO3.
carbonate.
K2CO3.
Sorry, K2
K2CO3. CO3 plus
Plus.
H2O.
S2, water. One minute. Sodium hydroxide reacts with a non-metallic oxide called sulfur dioxide. React ಆದರೆ ನಮಗೆ ಸಲ್ಫೇಟ್ ಬರುತ್ತೆ. Salt containing sulfate. ಯಾವುದು? Sodium sulfate. And it is Na2SO4. Please correct it. Sodium sulfate. Na2SO4. Next, one more. Name this compound.
Barium hydroxide.
Barium hydroxide.
Barium hydroxide. What is this? Name this non-metallic oxide.
Nitrogen dioxide.
Nitrogen
dioxide. Name the compound that is name the salt which is produced. Barium and nitrate.
Barium nitrate.
Barium nitrate.
Chemical formula.
BaNH3.
NO3 twice plus S2. Over. Finished. So these are the three important chemical properties of bases. First one, base reacts with metal to produce salt with the
Hydrogen
Salt
release
and
of
hydrogen.
gas.
Hydrogen gas.
Second one, base reacts with acid to produce
Salt and
Salt
water.
and water.
Third one, base reacts with non-metallic oxide to produce
Salt and
Salt.
Salt, water. Oh,
Now we are moving to the next part of this chapter. Dear students, we are very familiar with the chemical compound having sour in taste and produces hydrogen ion on dissolving in water.
Acids.
It is called
acid.
acid. What do you call the chemical nature of a compound which turn blue litmus to red? That is also an acid.
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 Let me go for writing some of the acids. Don't copy anything, just observe. The most familiar acids are HCl. Name this.
Hydrochloric acid.
Hydrochloric acid.
Hydrochloric acid.
H2SO4.
Sulfuric acid.
Sulfuric acid.
Sulfuric acid.
Sulfuric acid.
Sulfuric acid.
NO3.
Nitric acid.
Nitric acid.
Nitric acid.
Nitric acid. CH3. COOH.
Acetic acid.
Acetic
acetic
acid.
acid.
Acetic acid.
HCOOH.
Formic acid.
Formic acid.
Formic acid. What is the other name of formic acid? It is also called methanoic acid, which is produced by the ant when it bites us, right? It will inject the acid called methanoic acid, nothing but formic acid. So these are the acids. You can notice that the common element which is present in all these acids,
Hydrogen.
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 hydrogen ಇದೆ ಅಲ್ವಾ? Now let me go for taking some more compounds, like the main component of compressed natural gas,
LPG.
methane. Chemical formula
CH4.
CH4.
The main component of liquefied petroleum gas, butane.
Methane.
Butane.
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 C4H10.
H10. We also know that when the food item what we are going to use, it contains carbohydrates, lipids, many other are there. So when these are churned, they get converted into small fine particles, and these fine particles again get converted into one of the compound whose chemical formula is C6H12O6.
Glucose.
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 And name the compound whose chemical formula is C6H6, which is also familiar to you. It is called
Benzene.
Benzene. Then one more compound, C2H5OH. Compound used by the drunkards. Very good. It is alcohol. Okay. Then what is the common observation that you can make in all these? Carbon is there.
Carbon.
Hydrogen.
Hydrogen.
Hydrogen oxide, sir.
Hydrogen is there.
Hydrogen carbon, sir.
Hydrogen
These
is
Carbon, sir.
Hydrocarbons.
Wait. First group of compounds, the common element is hydrogen. In the second group of elements, we have both hydrogen and carbon.
Carbon.
But hydrogen is also there. And do you say that all the compounds containing hydrogen as acids?
No, sir.
No, sir.
No,
Why?
Because bases also have hydrogen ions, sir.
No, ಇವೆರಡರ ಅಷ್ಟೇ ನಾನು ಡಿಫರೆನ್ಸ್ ಕೇಳ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀನಿ. My question is the first group of compounds contain hydrogen. Even in second group of compounds also we can see hydrogen. And whereas first group compounds are called acids. If so, then can we call this group of compounds as acids? You are
No,
telling
sir.
that? Yes or no?
No, sir.
No, sir.
Reason. Even if you tell no also, give reason for that. Okay, you have only 50-50 option. Either you may tell yes or you may tell no. So you no need to give me the chance. Instead, you have to give the reason. Anybody? So
Acid, sir. Hydrogen is cation, sir.
ಎಲ್ಲಿದೆನಪ್ಪ ಇಲ್ಲ ಈ ಕಾಂಪೌಂಡ್ಸ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಬರೀ ಹೈಡ್ರೋಜನ್ ಎಲಿಮೆಂಟ್ ಅಂತ ತಗೊಂಡಿದೆ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಕೂಡ ಹೈಡ್ರೋಜನ್ ಎಲಿಮೆಂಟ್ ಇದೆ.
Sir, that first group is said as hydrogen. Its compound is as acid, sir. Then second group also containing gas hydrogen. No, sir. It is also known as acid, sir.
You are telling that yes,
Sir.
these are acids. Then what do you say about other student? One student has told that second group of compounds contain a hydrogen. That's why they are also acids. Do you agree this statement?
They are corrosive in nature, sir.
Chemical nature ಕೇಳ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀನಿ. ನೀವು ನೋಡಿದ್ರೆ ನ್ಯೂಟ್ರಲ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಇದೆ. If you do not respond, then what should I think? You are neither about salts nor about, sorry, you are neither acids nor base. You are all salts because salt is a neutral compound. Anybody? ಅದಕ್ಕೆ definition ಕೊಟ್ಟಿದೆ. Definition of acid. What is that? Turn the page. Very good. Correct.
Sour in taste.
ನೋಡ್ಬೇಕು. Sour in taste and produces hydrogen
Plus
ion.
Hydrogen ion when dissolved in water.
Water. Okay.
water.
Compounds when they are dissolved in water, they get dissociated into their respective ions. Among these ions, one will be hydrogen. That is, these can produce hydrogen ion. That's why they are all acids. Whereas, of course, these compounds will also contain hydrogen. But when these are dissolved in water, they do not release hydrogen ion. Hence, they are not acids. Then what are these?
Bases.
They are
They are
carbon compounds.
hydrocarbon.
Carbon.
Compounds. ಎಲ್ಲ ಕಾರ್ಬನ್ ಇದೆ ಅದ್ರಲ್ಲಿ ಹೈಡ್ರೋಜನ್ ಇದ್ರೆ ಹೈಡ್ರೋಕಾರ್ಬನ್ ಅಂತ ಕರಿತೀವಿ. ಓನ್ಲಿ ಕಾರ್ಬನ್ ಅಂಡ್ ಹೈಡ್ರೋಜನ್ ಹಂಗಿದ್ರೆ ಮಾತ್ರ. ಅರ್ಥ ಆಯ್ತಲ್ಲ? The common observation that we can make in all the acids is they produce hydrogen ion on dissolving in water. So now we have to show that all the compounds containing hydrogen are not acids. How do you come to know? Yes, we have an important characteristic of an acid, that is they can produce the ions which are responsible for conducting the electricity. Then you can go for explaining the activity related to that. Got it? You'll go for taking the compounds containing hydrogen, some compounds containing hydrogen. In those, which one will conduct the electricity? That is an acid. If it does not conduct the electricity, it is not an acid. Clear up? So let's move on to that. Right now, side heading. Side heading. Textbook alone, it has been given as a question. Here also, I'm going to give you the same. What do all acids have in common? Side heading. what do all acids have in common? What do all acids have in common? ಹೇಳಿ.
Are there any acid without hydrogen, sir?
No such acids are there. ಯಾಕೆಂದ್ರೆ ನಮಗೆ ಮೇನ್ definition ಅಲ್ಲಿ we have come to know that the acids are the compounds which produce hydrogen ions and dissolving in water. Hydrogen ಇರಬೇಕು. ಹೇಳಿ ಬೇಗ. What do all acids have in common?
Hydrogen
Hydrogen
ions.
ions.
Hydrogen ions.
Acids ಅಲ್ಲಿ hydrogen ion ಇರುತ್ತಾ? Hydrogen ಇರುತ್ತೆ. When it is dissolved in water,
Water
then
will produce
will
H plus
produce
ions.
hydrogen
ions.
ion. ಅದನ್ನ ಹೆಂಗ್ ಬರೀತೀರಿ ಈಗ?
Acids
Common
have in
observation
common.
that we can make in all the
Hydrogen.
acids,
Nitrous.
they produce hydrogen ions on dissolving in water. ಅದನ್ನ ಬರೀ. Right? The common observation or the common thing in all the acids, the common thing in all the acids is they produce or they release, they produce hydrogen ions. Hydrogen ions, get right in bracket H plus on dissolving in water. On dissolving in water. Let me take some of the examples. Yeah, I'll go for taking the dry HCl. Dry HCl, under HCl gas idre, it will not act as a
acid.
acid. Adu name later I'll explain that. Here, this acid, sorry, this compound is dissolved in water. Water will dissolve ಮಾಡ್ತಾರ ಏನಾಗುತ್ತೆ ಹೇಳಿ. When it is dissolved in water,
Hydrogen ion is
hydrogen ion ಬರುತ್ತೆ ಮತ್ತೆ chloride ion ಬರುತ್ತೆ. It produces hydrogen ion. Or not? Then you all may be thinking that, sir, then what about oxygen? ಹಾಗಾಗಿ ಈ hydrogen ion ನ ನಾವು hydronium ion ಅಂತ ಕೂಡ ಹೇಳ್ತೀವಿ. Like even it can also be written as H3O plus H3O plus. ಈಗ ಇದನ್ನೇನು ಕನ್ಸಿಡರ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬಿಡಿ, ನಿಮಗೆ ಮತ್ತೆ ಕನ್ಫ್ಯೂಷನ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. Now again I will explain it separately. This is hydronium ion. Then similar, I'll go for taking H2SO4, which is dry H2SO4. When it is dissolved in water, it produces the ions, respective ions. Now the
Hydrogen and
hydrogen ion
sulfate.
and sulfate ion, SO4, 2 minus. Next, HNO3. When it is dissolved in water, it produces
Hydrogen
hydrogen ion and
nitrate.
nitrate ion, NO3 minus.
1 minus.
Next, I'll take CH3COOH. When it is dissolved in water, name the ions that are produced.
Hydrogen ion.
Hydrogen ion and second one. Yavdo? CH3COOH minus.
Yes.
That is acetate ion. CH3COO minus. So the common observation that we can make in all the acids is when they are dissolved in water, they produce
hydrogen ion.
hydrogen ion. ಎಲ್ಲದರಲ್ಲೂ ಕೂಡ hydrogen ion ಬರ್ತಾ ಇದೆ. ಹೌದಾ? Next is whether all the compounds containing hydrogen are acids. What do you say? No. Why?
No. Some of them does not release the hydrogen ion when dissolved in water.
Yeah. The compounds which contain hydrogen, all the compounds containing hydrogen cannot be considered as acids. The reason is the compounds here, when they are dissolved in water, if they produce hydrogen, then only we will consider them as acids. Acids have a capacity to produce their respective ions. Among them, one will be hydrogen. So now we'll move on to activity to show that all the compounds containing hydrogen are not acids. Followed? And it was also given in the examination. Please put star mark and take the heading as a question. Right now. Explain the activity. Explain the activity. Explain the activity. With a neat leveled diagram. With a neat leveled diagram. To show that I'll start with inverted comma. Right. All the compounds containing hydrogen, all the compounds containing hydrogen are not acids. All the compounds containing hydrogen are not acids. So which property has to be used? Electrolyte concept should be used. Litmus, using the litmus paper also we can test it. But in textbook, they are given explanation regarding this activity on the basis of electrolyte. Observe. Very simple activity it is. Pragna, stop writing and observe the book. Here, I'll go for taking an electrolytic tank. It is glass tank in which electrolyte is to be taken. Here we will go for using a rubber cup. Then we'll take 2 nails. Please don't copy anything. Just observe. 2 nails which have to be fixed to the rubber cup. Then connect the free ends to the terminals of a battery along with a switch using the conducting wire. In one thought, even bulb also. This battery and here is the switch. This is an experimental arrangement. Now, let us go for using the distilled water. Do you call the distilled water as an electrolyte? No.
No, sir.
No, sir.
I'll tell you the purpose of taking this. Very simple activity. Now, let us go for choosing some of the compounds having hydrogen. One is dilute HCl. Second one is dilute H2SO4. Third one is C6H12O6. And fourth one is C2H5OH. Followed? Very simple activity. Let me go for using these compounds one by one. And first one, I'll go for using HCl. Then close the circuit. Observe the bulb. Whether the bulb is flowing? Yes. Bulb flow up to the right? Here, the current is flowing from positive terminal to negative terminal. And this compound is allowing the electric current to pass through it. Hence, you can say that it is an electrolyte. And this electrolyte is an acid. Followed? Now, let me go for taking, this conducts electricity. Now, this time, I'll go for using the glucose. Observe. Glucose is to be used. Then, close the circuit. Observe the bulb. Whether the bulb is glowing? No,
No, sir.
bulb is not glowing, which means that current is not flowing. Current flow ಆಗ್ತಿಲ್ಲ. This compound is not allowing the current to pass through it. It is not an electrolyte. Hence, you can say that this is not an acid. Now, next I'll go for using dilute H2SO4 in this. Close the circuit. Observe the bulb. What is your observation?
Bulb
The
is
bulb
glowing.
glows.
Bulb will glow.
Dilute H2SO4 acts as an electrolyte. Therefore, you can call it as an acid. Similarly, break the circuit or close by switch off. Then go for adding alcohol. Then switch off. What will be your observation?
Bulb will not glow.
Bulb is not glowing.
Not glowing. It does not glow, which means that it is not an electrolyte. It is not allowing electric current to pass through it. Hence, you can say that C2H5OH is not an acid. Could you tell and why these two compounds allowed electric current to pass through them? The reason is when these will produce the ions called hydrogen and chlorine. Here, hydrogen and sulfate, which are responsible for conducting the electricity. What is dilute hydrochloric acid and dilute sulfuric acid? As they produce the respective ions, which are responsible for conducting the electricity. Hence, in both the cases, the bulb glow. Whereas glucose and alcohol, they do not produce their respective ions. Hence, the bulb does not glow. Yes. Go for drawing that. Draw an electrolytic pack. Right. First, here I draw an experiment table. Next. Here, one electrolytic tank is used for HCl and another one for glucose. We have to draw. Then draw the rubber cut in both the cases. Here I'll draw. Here also. Next. We'll go for fixing iron nails. Here, 2 iron nails are to be taken and they are to be fixed to the rubber car with a distance of just 1 centimeter. And here also, 2 iron nails are to be taken. Let us connect these to the terminals of a battery along with the switch and bulb using the conducting wire. And in wire na draw. Here I am drawing the wire. Let us connect 3 ends. Right. Here as well. Draw switch, the bulb, and also battery. Here and draw battery. This is positive terminal and this negative terminal. Here I'll draw the bulb. And here, let me draw a switch. Similarly, in the second figure as well, you have to mark the same. First, battery. Second, the bulb. And third, here, the switch. In the first electrolytic time, I'm going to take dilute hydrochloric acid. Here I write dilute hydrochloric acid. Then the second electrolytic tank, let us take glucose or alcohol. Glucose. Then in first figure, switch on, and you notice that the glowing of the bulb. Show that when you switch on, the bulb glows, which means that current is flowing from positive terminal. Here I'm showing the direction. Current is flowing from positive terminal to negative. Next, in second case, here also switch on. No glow of bulb. The current does not flow from positive to negative. Ora, have you labeled? What is this? Battery. This is switch. This is bulb, and here also it is battery and a switch. Then separate operating. below that one, right? BA. It is battery. Then K is switch. Next, here on right. These two are iron nails. Here also. These two are iron nails. This is the bulb that glows. Here, the bulb does not glow. And is wire or conductor. Ora. Conclusion ಏನಂತ ಬರೀತೀರಿ? Here, dilute HCl is taken. It conducts electricity. Why? It produces the respective ions on dissolving in water. Glucose, it does not conduct electricity. The reason? It does not produce the respective ions on dissolving in water. So that procedure, everything has been given in my notes. You can go through that also. Okay. Now, stop writing and observe. Here I am going to take some of the examples for the compounds having bitter taste. It is
Base.
I'll take BaOH twice. Then NaOH. Next CaOH twice. Could you tell the common observation that we can make in all
Hydroxide.
Hydroxide ion.
Hydroxide.
oxygen as well as hydrogen? Both are there. Now look here. Here C2H5OH. It is alcohol. Then CH3OH. What is this? It is called methanol. Methanol. Next, C6H12O6.
Glucose.
Glucose.
In these also we have oxygen and hydrogen. Oxygen and hydrogen. And you also know that the first three compounds, they are all bases, which we are very familiar. And these bases contain both oxygen and hydrogen. And we have some other compounds containing both oxygen and hydrogen. And as oxygen and hydrogen are common in these bases, is it possible to tell that all the compounds containing oxygen and hydrogen are bases?
No, sir.
Why?
They do not produce their
They
respective
do
ions.
not produce hydroxide ions on dissolving
These,
in water.
very good. These compounds which contain oxygen and hydrogen, when they are dissolved in water, they produce hydroxide ion
Hydroxide ion.
with the another respective cation. Andre Ba2 plus Na1 plus Ca2 plus ions barutte. Whereas when these are dissolved in water, they do not separate their ions. They do not produce their ions. They do not release their ions. Ions really produce other ions. So that is why we can say that all the compounds containing oxygen and hydrogen are not bases. And the common observation that we can make in all the bases is they produce hydroxide ion on dissolving in water.
What?
Like in acid. Acid alli hydrogen ion produce agutte, base alli hydroxide ion produce agutte on dissolving in water. So we'll write the same. Right, side heading. What do all bases have in common? Write the side heading as a question. What do all bases have in common? What do all bases have in common? Right. The common thing in all the acids, sorry, all the bases. Okay. The common thing in all the bases is what it is? Aksamudra. They release or they produce hydroxide ion, that is OH minus, hydroxide ion on dissolving in water. Let us take some examples. Here, sodium hydroxide, when it is dissolved in water, dissolve ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ, it produces Na plus and OH minus. I'll take next one, barium hydroxide, BaOH twice. When it is dissolved in water, it produces Ba. Ba2 plus and
2 plus.
OH minus.
One.
I'll take calcium hydroxide, CaOH twice. When it is dissolved in water, it produces
Ca2
Ca2 plus
A2 plus.
OH minus. Then name this compound.
Ammonium hydroxide.
Ammonium hydroxide.
Ammonium hydroxide.
When it is dissolved in water,
NH4 plus OH minus.
Plus.
NH4 1 plus OH minus.
OH minus.
Finished up. Next. Here also same. They explain the activity with a neat level diagram to show that all the compounds containing OH, hydroxide ion to everybody, OH, that is oxygen and hydrogen, are not bases. Right. Side heading. Explain the activity with a neat leveled diagram. Explain the activity with a neat leveled diagram to show that all the compounds containing oxygen and hydrogen are not bases. Here, everything is same, but the compound that we are going to take will be different. I'll take NaOH solution. Here I'll take C2H5OH. Look here, one minute. Observe one thing. Here NaOH solution is taken. Then when you switch on, immediately the bulb glows. It is because this solution will allow the current to pass through it. Yakantandre, as it produces the respective ions called sodium ion and hydroxide ion, which are responsible for conducting the electricity. So here NaOH conducts electricity, therefore it is a base. Whereas here C2H5OH, when you taking that in the electrolytic tank and switch on, you can notice that the bulb does not glow, which means that C2H5OH does not conduct the electricity. The reason is it does not produce the ions. Ions not produce model. That is why it is not a base. Same figure. Just change the name of the compounds. Okay, you may stop writing. I will leave it Roman. Now you must stop that. Gautami, stop madam. Now it is already timer, and tomorrow I am going to continue the class. And today you are having online performance test in the evening from 7 to 7:40. The syllabus, it is acids, bases and salt. Vijayalakshmi, acids, bases and salts. Up to here. Got it?
Yes, sir.
Then please do practice whatever we have done today. So with this, let us stop the class. Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Bye, sir.
Bye,
Thank
sir.
you, sir.